and welcome to my... Let me start again. Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Fiona. Thank you so much for clicking on this. Thank you for deciding to watch. Apologies for the long disappearance. I know I say it in every video. I'm trying to do better. These YouTube streets aren't easy at all. I guess I'm kind of in between deciding whether I want to continue doing YouTube or not and what I want to be putting out there. But then I realized that these things are kind of helpful to some people. So that's probably one of the reasons I still try to do it. I don't do it often though. Yeah, awkward silence. But welcome. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. And thank you so much for bearing with me. You people have patience because I barely post on here at all. Actually, no, I barely post on here. That's the right phrase. Anywho, I hope everybody's been keeping fine. I just wanted to highlight, well, for the new people, I mean, like a little bit here and there, and that's fine. That's totally fine. This is a place for no judgment. You just be as free as you want to be. So for those who are, by the way, if you're an old subscriber, just so you know, I'm still struggling between looking here and looking there and looking there. So what was I gonna say? Yeah, if you're new here, I just want you to know that this is a channel where I get to share some of the lessons I'm learning and experiences that I'm learning when it comes to faith or when it comes to just being peaceful in the faith, etc. That's really what all this is all about. Like, I just take what I've learned and share it with all of you, hoping that you can learn something as well and maybe implement it in your life and find the light that I have found by God's grace. So today I wanted to talk about something that I learned personally, something I never used to pay attention to until recently. So let me backtrack before I start. So if you've been watching my videos, you know I did a vlog of moving around. I move around a lot, and the pandemic had me land or find myself in Ghana, where I still am, right? And the place where I was previously at uni, we had a very close-knit Christian fellowship. If you've watched any of my old videos, you'll see some of the people or friends I used to share in that fellowship with. And I think there's one video where I speak about it together with my friends. Yeah, my girlfriends, the females only. Yeah, we spoke about how we used to have fellowship every day, etc. So I didn't even realize how important that had become to me or how much I'd gotten so used to it until I came here during a pandemic where there's no fellowship, there's no like group of people who might want to do that. And how do I say? As in I only started to miss what I had when I got here and realized that it might not be the same. Like, it's not every day that you go to a certain place and you find a small group of people who genuinely believe in the same thing you believe in and want to fellowship together. We used to fellowship every Friday night, you know. So transitioning from having fellowship every Friday night to not having it with friends like that. Of course, yes, there's church. I go on Saturdays, but then aside from that, you would want something more. You know, my friends and I used to have prayer every night, and now it's not the same. You know, and so when that happens, you're kind of left in the middle, trying to decide what to do, what not to do. And I'm sure a lot of you can relate because maybe you may have moved from your normal usual habitat because of the pandemic, and then you found yourself in a totally different place and you're trying to adjust. Maybe you're trying to find a church, you're trying to find a community of believers who you can fellowship with freely without feeling like you're being judged, and it's probably becoming a difficulty. So obviously you realize, like I realized, that okay, I have no choice, I can't find what I had over there, so I just have to work with what I have here. And in the middle of trying to build new friendships and make new connections, I kind of, what's the word? I kind of digressed. It's like I became comfortable with things that I'm not usually comfortable with, or I wouldn't have been comfortable with if I was in my previous setting. That's because I found people who are totally different from the people I was used to on the other side, and you find that you're probably the only odd one out, if I can say that. And because of that, you risk becoming like the rest if you're not careful. That's what at least I saw in myself, that okay, I found these people, they're not the same as the people I used to be friends with or hang out with, and they're so different from me, but let me try and be part of the circle, right? No, that's not a nice way to put it. Let me get to know them. And I didn't realize, and this is what I'm sharing to you, I didn't realize that I was running the risk of leaving behind so many quote-unquote good things that I wanted to hold as part of my core values. I'm not talking about like major things or whatnot, but I found that I started becoming very complacent about certain things. And so you're probably wondering what the bottom line of all this is. The bottom line of this, what I learned through that, was that we have to be very careful about the kind of people we associate ourselves with. And that's not to like throw shade at someone or whatnot. We just have to be very mindful of how we move around, especially when we're transitioning, because if we end up, and we might have the purest intentions, the people around us might have the purest intentions, but then something can happen along the line, if we just blindly go or not take time to think through what's happening, we might lose important parts of ourselves. I don't know if that makes sense. We run the risk of pitching our tent at the wrong place, maybe without even knowing, and you won't see the effect of the decisions that you're making day by day until it's too late, or until it's grown into this thing that is so difficult to get rid of, or to destroy. And an example that I found in the Bible was Abraham and Lot, right? So Genesis chapter 13 from 10. So to set context, this is when Abraham and Lot are choosing what sides they're going to live on, right? So chapter 13 verse 10, and Lot lifted his eyes and beheld all the plain of Jordan, that it was well watered everywhere, before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, even as the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt, as thou comest unto Zoar. Then Lot chose him all the plain of Jordan, and Lot journeyed east, and they separated themselves, the one from the other. Abram, not Abraham. Abram dwelt in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelt in the cities of the plain, and pitched his tent towards Sodom. The last line of verse 12 is like the key aspect of all this. Here you have Lot trying to find where to pitch his tent, where to live, and he is so caught up with the beauty of Sodom that he pitches his tent facing it. He's not really going there, but he's facing it. He's changed his direction towards that place where he probably shouldn't be. And how do we know he probably shouldn't be there? Because verse 13 says that, but the men of Sodom were wicked and sinners before the Lord, exceedingly, not just wicked, but exceedingly wicked. But that is where he decided to pitch his tent towards. So in the midst of our journeys, in the midst of making transitions and making new friends, etc., we may have the purest motives, but if we're not careful, we might find ourselves in companies that will destroy us. That's personally what I've learned. You might find yourself in the hands of somebody who might cost you your salvation, if I could say that. And so we just have to be very mindful and very careful. If we feel like we're not finding people who who allow us to freely experience that peace that Christ gives and leads us back to Christ, then it's better, honestly, it's better to be alone. See, it's better to, like the Bible says, what benefit is it to man if he gains the whole world and loses his soul? It's of no benefit at all. So it's up to you to think about that and keep that in mind, that where you pitch your tent matters, because we all know what happened to Lot. If you're new here, if you're not a Christian, Lot ended up living inside Sodom and Gomorrah, and with all he witnessed all the wickedness that was happening then. God wanted to destroy the city, and it was only by grace, after Abraham pleaded with God, that God sent his angels to rescue Lot and his wife and his daughters out of Sodom. And the wife looked back and she turned into salt, and he escaped with his daughters. And obviously that still didn't end well. That's a story for another day. But Lot definitely did get himself into trouble. So be mindful, be watchful of the company that you're keeping. And most importantly, keep a company that edifies your soul. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for coming back. Please make sure to subscribe and share this video to somebody who might find it useful or helpful. Thank you, and God bless you. Bye.
For me, I'm free, no longer bound. Your grace amazes me.